My fiancée left me out of nowhere saying she needed space to find herself. A week later, she called crying for my support. So I told her to check the mail. What she found inside left her completely speechless. I'm 29, when my fiancée Megan decided to end our relationship out of nowhere. It happened on a calm Tuesday evening, one of those ordinary nights when life feels stable, when you don't expect anything to change. We had just finished dinner, sitting comfortably on the couch, talking about nothing in particular. There was no argument, no warning sign, no buildup of tension that could have prepared me for what came next. She just turned toward me, her expression strangely peaceful, and said the words that shattered the routine of my entire life. I'm leaving, she said simply. After 4 years together, 2 of which we had spent engaged, that was how she chose to end it. Her voice was calm, her posture relaxed, as if she had been rehearsing that moment for weeks. I need to find myself, she added, with the kind of self-importance reserved for people who believe they've just discovered something profound. I feel like I've lost who I am. I need to be on my own to figure things out. It's not about you, it's about me. I remember staring at her, trying to recognize the woman who had once promised me forever. But that night, she looked like a stranger, someone who had made a practical business decision rather than a heartbreaking one. Years of managing projects had taught me that emotions solve nothing. When a plan fails, you don't cry about it. You reassess, adjust, and move forward. So that's what I did. I didn't yell, I didn't beg, I didn't ask why. I just nodded slowly and said, "Okay, when are you leaving?" That simple response seemed to throw her off balance. Maybe she had prepared a whole speech expecting me to cry, plead, or fight. Instead, I treated it like the closure of a project. "I'm going to stay at my sister's place for a while," she said hesitantly. "I'll pack a bag tonight and get the rest of my stuff later." I helped her carry the suitcase to her car, and just like that, she drove away. The engagement ring sat quietly on the coffee table, catching the light from the living room lamp, a small, cold symbol of a future that no longer existed. The apartment fell silent, the kind of silence that presses against your chest until breathing feels like effort. For the next few days, I functioned on autopilot. I went to work. I came home. I ate dinner alone. Then, like I would for any project gone off the rails, I made a list. A list of everything that needed to be closed out. The wedding was supposed to be in 3 months. Deposits had been paid for the venue, the photographer, the caterer, even the band. The honeymoon flights to Italy were booked. Every spreadsheet, every email, every reminder I'd meticulously organized now represented thousands of dollars down the drain. Exactly 1 week after she left, my phone buzzed. It was Megan. For a moment, I thought she wanted to arrange picking up her things. Instead, her voice came through soft, fragile, and quivering. "Hey," she said, "how are you holding up?"
"I'm managing," he replied evenly.
"Good," she said, sounding relieved. "Listen, I know this is hard, but I was hoping we could still be friends. I still really need your support right now. You've always been my rock. I don't want to lose that." Her words hit me like ice. She had just blown up our life together for some vague journey of self-discovery. And now she wanted me to be her comfort zone while she found herself. She wanted emotional support without responsibility, friendship without consequence, stability without commitment. "Okay," I said calmly. "We can be friends." "Oh, thank God," she exhaled with relief. "You're the best, Mark. I knew you'd understand." "I do understand," I said slowly. "But since we're just friends now, there are a few things we should clear up. Check your mail tomorrow." She paused. "The mail? Why?" "Just check it," I said, and hung up before she could ask more. Because for the past week, I hadn't been sitting around mourning. I had been working. I had methodically dismantled every part of the future we had built, tracking every dollar, every cancellation, every deposit lost. That evening, I gathered all the documents into a 9x12 envelope, each placed in a clear plastic sleeve. The first document was the contract for the wedding venue, the beautiful old barn she had fallen in love with, highlighting the non-refundable $10,000 deposit. The second was the receipt from the caterer, who would be keeping half of our $5,000 deposit. The third was the invoice from the photographer she had insisted on, a creative genius charging a $3,000 non-refundable booking fee. The fourth document was the confirmation of our canceled flights to Italy. I had managed to recover the flight credit, but the booking fees were gone. Another $500 lost. Then came the final piece, the receipt for her wedding dress, a custom-made $8,000 gown she had ordered just 3 weeks before leaving. She charged it to our joint credit card, the one I was responsible for paying. The day after she left, I had called the bank to remove her as an authorized user, then contacted the bridal shop. The dress was complete and, per contract, entirely non-returnable. The last page was a spreadsheet titled in bold, Project Closure Wedding. It listed every non-refundable expense and cancellation fee: venue, catering, photography, flights. The total came to $16,000. Add the $8,000 dress, and the grand total was $24,000. At the bottom, I wrote, total cost of finding yourself, $24,000. As we are now just friends, your share of the cancellation costs is $12,000. Please remit payment at your earliest convenience. I sealed the envelope and mailed it overnight to her sister's address. The next morning, my phone started buzzing relentlessly. Megan called again and again until I finally answered. I got your package, she said, her voice trembling between anger and disbelief. What is this, Mark? Are you out of your mind? You're sending me a bill for our breakup. It's a project closure report, I said calmly. Standard practice. A project closure report? She shouted. You can't be serious. You're charging me for the wedding. Why not? I asked simply. You wanted to stay friends, remember? Real friends don't stick their buddies with a $24,000 bill for a party they canceled. You broke the engagement, Megan. You're responsible for the consequences of that decision. I'm not paying this, she screamed. You're right, I said coolly. I can't force you to, but the $8,000 dress is legally yours. If you don't pay for it, the bridal shop's collection department will handle it. As for the rest, if you refuse to pay your half, then you're not a friend. You're just a person who cost me a lot of money, and I don't keep people like that in my life. There was silence on the line, long, heavy silence. Then, in a small voice, she whispered, I hate you. I know, I said, and hang up. That evening, her sister Katie called me, furious. She yelled that I was cruel, that Megan was going through a hard time, and didn't deserve this. I simply replied, is she going to pay her half? When Katie snapped that I was the one with a better job, I responded, then she wants the freedom of being single but the financial perks of being engaged. That's not how it works. And I ended the call. A few days later, Megan launched a social media campaign painting herself as the victim, the brave woman finding herself, while her toxic ex tried to financially ruin her. She left out the part about the $24,000 bill. I didn't argue publicly. Instead, I sent the same documents to a few close friends with a simple email. This isn't punishment. It's just the invoice for a canceled project. The truth spread fast. One of my friends, Sam, called to apologize. She made it sound like you were a psycho, he said. But you're just asking her to cover her own costs. That's fair. Word got around. People began seeing her for who she really was. Weeks later, the bridal shop sent her account to collections. Her journey of self-discovery now included threatening letters and a plummeting credit score. She showed up at my apartment one evening, crying. Please, Mark, she begged. They're ruining my credit. I can't even rent my own place. Just pay for the dress. I'll pay you back. No, I said. Why are you being like this? She sobbed. I thought we were friends. I am supporting you, I said calmly. I'm supporting your journey to find yourself. This is what adulthood looks like, taking responsibility for your own choices. Then I closed the door and left her standing in the hallway. About a month later, I learned the truth behind her self-discovery. A coworker named Ben pulled me aside at a company event. He looked uncomfortable and said, "I've been seeing someone named Megan. She told me a story about her crazy ex who tried to bankrupt her, but then I realized you were that ex." My blood went cold. He admitted they had started dating before she ended things with me. She had lined up my replacement in advance. "I broke up with her last night," Ben said, "because she's a liar." I shook his hand and thanked him, but the saga didn't end there. Her father, a respected lawyer, called next. His voice was calm but threatening. "Mark, this isn't how a gentleman behaves. You're using your financial power to punish my daughter." "With all due respect, sir," I replied, "a gentleman doesn't get left with a $24,000 bill. She made her choice. I'm just settling the accounts." He tried to intimidate me, threatening legal action for emotional distress. I laughed and told him I'd gladly present the bridal contract with his daughter's signature in court, along with proof of her unauthorized credit card charges. The call ended quickly after that, and the lawsuit never came. A week later, an anonymous email was sent to my company's HR department, accusing me of creating a hostile work environment. It was her last desperate attempt to destroy my life. Luckily, my boss trusted me. After I showed him the evidence, he said, "Don't worry, Mark. We're deleting the email. But be careful. She's clearly unstable." In the end, her parents paid off the dress and cut ties with her financially. Her sister got tired of living with a bitter, broke, and constantly complaining roommate. Ben wanted nothing more to do with her. She tried to wreck my life, but all she managed to do was ruin her own. 6 months later, I was on a date with a wonderful woman. We were laughing over dinner at a nice restaurant when I saw Megan across the room. She was with another man, older, probably wealthier. When our eyes met, hers went wide. I just smiled politely and gave a small nod that said, "I hope you finally found what you were looking for." Then I turned back to my date and forgot she existed. Sometimes the best revenge is simply moving on, while they're still trying to find themselves. Like and subscribe for more stories about life, love, and getting the last word without saying a thing.